Freedom of Information Act request, we recovered these series of video clips between the mayor and animal control.
Now, Mr. Mayor, I know you called me to deal with our wolf problem, but we do not have any wolf traps around here. Now, we have bear traps, rat traps, Venus fly traps, trapezoids, trap remixes, and the Parent Trap for VHS.
We have the somewhat crew of an ensemble crew that was Downtown Wolves from the Tallgrass Take 36 film race, Tallgrass, Wichita. Is there any other information I'm missing, Hannah, about the film race? So I'm Lester Rowe, part of the board of directors of Tallgrass, and I did some of the screening stuff earlier during the process when you guys finally submitted your film. So first, I want everyone to introduce themselves and kind of what your role was in making Downtown Wolves.
Hi, I'm Judah Hansen, and I was the director for the team.
Hi, I'm Garrett Jensen. I was the editor monkey.
And I'm Kenton Hansen. I was the financier and kind of producer for the film.
Okay, financier. You paid for everyone to get in. Okay. High school?
Well, I've been out of high school for about 22 years, but these two...
Well, this is our first year out of high school. We just graduated as seniors, and the rest of the team, we had one junior on the team and then a few college students, but mostly high school, freshly out of senior year.
So you guys won the first place of the Take 36 film race, as well as the student award.
And we still don't know how it happened. We thought it was a practical joke at first, maybe.
Yeah, no, honestly, a shocker. When we were sitting there and he said, we won the student one, then he sits down next to me and goes, nope, that was all we could win. Cannot win the grand prize. We're good.
I didn't think we were even eligible for the prize as a student team.
Well, it's funny you say that. In the room, I was one of the ones that was thinking, I don't know if students should be able to compete with kind of the more pro-ish, amateurish, up, a little more advanced. You guys won, so I was wrong. You guys beat everyone else with the first place and the student award. So when you found out that you won, how'd you feel?
Shocked, worried I had misheard them maybe, and when we all went up as the full team onto stage, I was still very stunned.
Yeah, I knew we could do it the whole time. I was expecting it. I don't know what they're talking about. Of course, I believe in them, which they have not yet, which is a parent's job, I think.
He definitely said some very discouraging words, said you guys could do better, you should feel ashamed of yourselves when we were going into the showcase. So I don't know where this positivity is coming from, yeah.
Wait, that's the bomb!
Action Copter 4 is on the scene in downtown where a massive blue explosion just took place.
Luckily, no one was injured or killed.
And all the blue washed away.
Mr. Mayor!
Mr. Mayor, comments!
Well, it seems a real tragedy has occurred. Apparently some explosive device was left in this alleyway, and it appears that a lot of citizens were blued. No one was injured, but it seems that the device blew up in their face.
Mr. Mayor, right.
Yes, yes.
Well, I'd say, yeah, it was pretty shocking. So walking up the stage, I asked him if he wanted to, hop on my back and, run up in style there. No one else did that, something crazy. He goes, no, we just go normal. Come on, man. So
I really didn't trust you to not just, completely trip over the stairs and send me careening off, and I didn't want to risk it at that point.
Would have been hilarious.
Was this you guys' first time doing the race?
This is my third time directing and technically fourth time participating. It's his third time on the team since I've been director. I know you... I guess that was pre-Take 36 when it was down to the wire 24-hour. But I was an actor in that, and I think you had a team.
Yeah, I participated one time in that, and then actually one time and then the second time we brought you in and kind of did it as a family thing. The third time is when it was Take 36, and I can't remember if you asked to do it or so you were like, hey, let's do this with my friends. We can do the student section, and that's when I spent the weekend with the four wacky kids making that first film.
Yeah, the first time we did it, it was us, 3 other at this point high school freshmen, and you, and we won the student award. So I guess as soon as he wasn't the director, we start winning awards.
Repeat winners.
Yes. We did it 3 times since then. We've done. There was a gap during COVID that we didn't do it, but then the last 2 years, yeah.
So you guys had a very large ensemble cast. That could be very complicated, especially in something where you have to make these pieces start working very quickly. Mm-hmm. What made you go so large with the cast and really you guys had several elements? I mean, you went from was it Delano, and then just it seemed like all over Wichita as well.
Yeah, we definitely, like, as the years went on, we added more and more people to the cast. And we've never really had great distinct roles of what people's jobs were. So almost everyone was an actor. Lots of people were working on costumes or props. And it was kind of, everyone was able to do a job that was given to them. And it was good that everyone on the team we knew could hold their own. I don't think there's a single member on the team that didn't have a hand in writing part of the script at some point. When we say ensemble cast, it definitely is. Almost everyone is contributing in almost every facet of the film.
And I think I have never been a part of a different team, but the writer's room, like on Friday night after we get the elements, the way that they come together and start picking out pieces of the story has always been like the most fun part. And even if we didn't make the film and we just did that on Friday night, it's always worth it to me. And I think that's how we get the good jokes afterwards, and the jokes that live on for a long time too.
Yeah, I'd say in the writer's room especially so, it's everyone sitting down at the table there. We have like a whiteboard up, all just cracking jokes and one-liners, just trying to figure out how to make it all work together. And it's always great fun, and I think everyone really bounces off each other well there.
So your concept, why don't you tell people what it was and kind of how it came together?
Well, it's a long story.
36 hours.
36 hours.
Not that long of a story.
The first idea of Downtown Wolves was brought up based off of a at this point long-running inside joke among parts of that group of people, just based off of one night we heard what we think was a dog howling while we were downtown, and the running joke of, oh, you got to be scared, the wolves downtown, you got to watch out for them. And then I think about 6 years later we used it in a film.
But you guys had that podcast element to it as well. What made you, because it made it like a story within a story as well, and you played into a lot of the current events, things that are happening right now, the way people even think about politics. And then there was a fun shot at Todd Ramsey that for some reason. So break all that down and kind of explain, now that it's happened, you guys won, kind of give a little bit more backstory and really what it was about and why you took a shot at Todd Ramsey.
Well, the way we've always kind of written for Take 36 would be, we start with the elements and see what's something that we can come up with based off of our line of dialogue or our setting or something like that. And actually, why the Todd Ramsey joke was in there was one of our first ideas was an anti-Todd Ramsey political campaign. And that stuck around for a while, long enough that we had a poster design and a few other things like that. But we thought it might be a little bit niche for the audience. But it really is, we would come up with different jokes based off of the elements and things like that. and then see where they could fit into a story from there, and just kind of puzzle those pieces together.
And so we'll take each element that we write and we work with, and we'll stick them together on like index cards or post-it notes, and then move around the ones that we like a whole lot. And at the point where we have like some good jokes and some good bits, that's about the time where we're like, okay, how do we turn this into something? And usually it starts layering on top of that with like, if so we really have wolves downtown. Why are they downtown? Is it an eldritch horror bit where like kids are summoning these? Oh, is it an accident? Are we going to play off like the Satanic Panic in the 80s with D&D? No, let's do something a little bit more serious and try to like make it pay off in the end too. So that's how we ended up with all the different layers, is like making sure the best joke was in there and it made sense in the end too.
Sound like you did all of those things instead of separating them.
Yeah.
The podcast part, what inspired to make that kind of the main narrative of the piece?
Out of the team of 10 people, there are 8 who are in, students below 22, right? 22 or below. And then there's 2, me and my wife, who we, pay for everything. And she is a middle-aged white woman, and of course loves true crime podcasts. And so we kind of are giving her a hard time and ribbing her a little bit about it, but also she helps us, like she gives us a lot of the production advice and like outside view, and is this funny, or are we too tired to get what's going on? And we liked having that aspect in there for her as well.
So to kind of explain the Take 36, it's a film race that it gives you elements that you have to incorporate into the movie or the final project. And I know this year there was a attempt to be a little bit more lax than maybe previous years, to just make it a little easier so you guys can have fun and not really be frustrated by the elements. But what were the elements that you guys had to have in your piece?
So we had our line of dialogue, which, do you have it memorized yet?
I still don't know it, no.
I can't even remember it all, but we kept having troubles with it. Our line of dialogue was a list of adjectives, basically, and keeping those in track. Actually, you'll be able to notice when that line is said, there's a really jarring cut because we had to reshoot it because we got the line wrong. But there are other places. We had our location, which was Delano, our prop, which was local art, our wild card element was heart, and I'm trying to remember now. It's been so long since I've looked at the list.
The arc shot.
Arc shot. Yep, that's our last one. Which we really did. We wrote around our elements a lot, and we kind of like that. It's a good way to kickstart us into something instead of starting from scratch. Having the idea of, okay, well, we have to include these elements. What's a way that we can use them, and can we build that around the film instead of having to drop them in later?
What was the more frustrating moments in working together? I usually talk to some of the teams, and some teams almost break up and have sour relationships after these races, because it does take a lot out of you to do something for 36 hours and be around these people and hope that is good. What was the more frustrating moments for you guys?
I definitely was more of the witness of these two kind of sitting at the table where he's really editing, you've been working on graphics, and I've been like working on music on there, but watching them slowly get more and more snipey with each other. And I think he did.
No, we all know that Garrett is like a real cranky puss once it gets past midnight. He can't stand being away.
Kenton, you're a terrible man to work with. No, it was definitely like last 12 hours definitely just got strained, because at that point we've been like editing for a decent while now, like probably, what was it, like 5 hours at that point, 5-6 hours. So that's when it starts going downhill, where we just don't want to keep editing this, but we're the only two who know how to.
I think beyond, like, even beyond the next day, we've never been stressed where anyone was actually like mad at each other 10 hours later. And I think everyone recognizes that it's a stressful environment, and no one's that mad at the end of the day. So I don't think we've ever had any like real issues, except for that one time you dropped the lens, Garrett. That was the only point of contention.
That's a major part of contention.
Yeah. He was told to hold a tripod for a moment, and now he'll never be allowed to hold the camera up ever again.
You include the context that this was back in the first film I did, freshman year, back when I was a wee boy.
He didn't learn about gravity until sophomore year.
Oh,
so,
well, flat Earth, you know?
Yeah, I know.
A lot of things going on. So for the filmmakers who watch something like this, you know, a lot of filmmakers always want to know what you shoot it with, what you shoot it on. So can you share some of the details of how of the equipment list that you guys use to shoot this?
Well, this year, almost about probably 75% of our film was shot on various iPhones. Just depending on who was there at the moment, really. And a lot of that we kind of played into of a lot of our footage is meant to be that, like, someone in the story is actually recording and it's this recovered footage used in the podcast. But besides that, it is my mom's nearly 20-year-old camera.
No, it's not 20. It's like a 5-year-old Nikon. No, I promise.
It was at least 10.
Maybe 10 years. That's true. And
5
then,
when they bought it.
Yeah, and then a DJI Mavic Air drone that we throw up every once in a while. Basically, I do the film race so I can keep buying drones to play with every once in a while.
Okay, not a bad excuse.
Yeah. And for audio, a shotgun mic that we could only get working while we tested it and never while on location. So we ended up using almost exclusively iPhone to record our sound for everything. And at some points you can definitely tell that's what we were using. But we kind of just had a little bit of limitations and technical difficulties, but we were able to work around them for the most part.
Did you know going into it that we was going to shoot mostly with the iPhone, or was that a decision, or was it just being resourceful?
Somewhere in between those two. I knew for sure that we would definitely, with the camera, we had, 2 batteries and 1 SD for it, so we weren't going to be able to use it the whole time. So I knew we were definitely going to use phone at some point, but I wasn't planning on it to be a majority phone for sure, but we were able to work around that.
Yeah, when all else fails, just call it a stylistic choice.
There you
End
go.
of the day.
Creative expression. So going back to podcasts, what are the podcasts that either you guys listen to or your wife listens to?
Oh man, the podcast that my wife would listen to that list is incredibly long, and like just a deep catalog that she has. I love a lot of the NPR podcasts, This American Life, and those kinds of things. Dolly Parton's America was really great, and that was one of the pieces that I really loved. I feel
like we're aging ourselves. Yeah, Dolly Parton. They're gonna relate to.
Yeah, absolutely. Dolly Parton's amazing. The true crime podcasts aren't things that I really like, but what happens is my wife will play them while she's like getting ready or something like that, and I just happen to live there around her and get to hear all these different pieces. So that's how we put them together.
I think 90% of all podcast content I consume is from the other room through the wall. I can hear my mom playing it, and sometimes I'll listen in and I'll hear part of the story, but I don't really listen to a lot outside of what's just playing around me for podcasts.
Yeah, I don't listen to too many podcasts. There's some, like, maybe one, like, I guess, horror crime one I listen to. I do think a funny one to put on in the car is Kenton's Here podcast with his 2 friends.
Hey, that's a promo.
Hey, man.
We do have to say, at this point, I think it is failed podcast. I'm sorry to say. There hasn't been a new episode in over a year, so...
We did what we set out to do, which is catalog all of human knowledge. It's done. And 5 episodes, we got it all.
That's how we act sometimes. Flat Earth again. So... do you guys plan to continue to do the film races, or do you feel like you want to make bigger, more expansive pieces?
I know we definitely like the format of you're in it all the way for 36 hours, so that's the time you're dedicating to it, and it can't drag on if things become an issue and stuff like that. And it definitely, there's some opportunities that you won't have in 36 hours, but getting a bunch of people to work together on it, it definitely is a much more reasonable goal for, okay, we're going to start here and we're going to be done here, and you don't have to worry about showing up a week from now for another thing or anything like that. But I think I would definitely be up for bigger projects in the future, but I don't know if anyone else is.
Yeah, after we got done the day after, one of our actors, the mayor, walks up to me and goes, dude, we gotta make more films like that all throughout the summer. Come on, man, come on. I was like, okay, dude, don't expect me to edit them, though. Come on, just calm down. But yeah, I would say editing and making more films is definitely something we'd want to do. And at this point, it's kind of a tradition at this point to do this. So, I mean, I don't see why not.
I mean, the most of our crew at this point is going off to college in different places, and they're going to be all across the country or world, really. But our house will always be open for Take 36 to come back, and we can do it as a big extended family for sure. If you want to do more, that's great too. Let's get some financing together and go.
You're the financier, producer. That is the role.
I'm ready to go. Like we get a script. I'll get money for it.
Let me hire you to produce some stuff since you got the money bag wallet.
Definitely, if you can get him excited enough about it, he's like, "Oh yeah, sure, I'll pay your entry fee," and we thank you very much for it.
So let's kind of. I want to ask more film-related questions now. So what are you guys? What films inspired you to even want to get into filmmaking, or even just something that you really like that makes you want to continue filmmaking?
I know. My parents both have shown me a third of all movies at this point since I was tiny, and they're definitely good about exposing me to things that, even with you, there's plenty of times where I'll talk about a movie and you'll have no idea what I'm talking about because it came out 15 years before we were born, or 50 years before we were born. But I've always really liked film just as a whole. But I think what got me most excited about kind of short film like this it's just a lot of different creators on YouTube that I like their stuff. And I think that's a lot for you too, that you watch those kind of formats of people making a short film and just putting it up on YouTube for people to see. And it's a cool way for smaller creators to get to make these things.
Is there any film in particular that you would want someone to see, even if it's a major one or one that you saw that on YouTube that you really enjoy?
Oh man, it's hard to think of a specific title at this point because it's really just the culmination of all these different films coming together that I like the idea of. Do you have a specific one that you'd like to share?
I mean, it didn't really influence the film, but I'm a big fan of La La Land. Ryan Gosling,
I think you're just more of a big fan of Ryan Gosling than anything.
That's true as well, but
is there any particular YouTube creator that you like a lot or that you'd mention in any way?
I know I'm going to, in 5 hours, think of a very good name that I should be saying right now, but I'm coming up blank at the moment.
Who's the one guy that I follow on TikTok and you like on YouTube?
That could be 25 different people. I am not sure.
Well, anyway, I really like Christopher Nolan for sure. That's I mean, who doesn't, right? But I think all of my favorite films are Christopher Nolan films. I'd put in there, and none of this is going to be any stylistically we're close to what we do in any way, like goofy comedy. But the Damon Lindelof did like Watchmen and Lost, and I love like prestige TV in that way too. So there's some actual names. Come prepared, kids.
Here, I'll do some actual names. We definitely were inspired by some early Andy Samberg work. Yeah, I've got my Hot Rod shirt on.
There you go.
A classic movie that everyone should see once in their life. But the dumb comedy is definitely our wheelhouse, and I'm definitely like inspired by a lot of those kind of maybe more bit and gag based films and things like that.
Name one.
Well, Hot Rod, of course.
Okay, there we go.
I'm a big fan. That Zoolander, kind of a lot of things in the orbit of Napoleon Dynamite.
I feel like you would have been like 4 then.
Well, that I was, but my parents were good about showing me these important pieces of art.
I can't imagine saying, son, come here, you got to see this. Napoleon Dynamite. Sit down and watch it. Tell me about it.
It probably was.
Now, as a good father, I need to step in here. I believe that every parent should look back at 30 years of culture and be like, I need to expose you to this because it makes their kids like 75 to 80% cooler than they would be normally. Back to the
who?
To everyone.
Cooler to my
We're here.
Doesn't necessarily translate to the public at large.
I'm just saying you're interviewing us, right?
There you go. Oh, okay. Yeah, see?
It had to have worked a little bit, at least.
What's next for you guys? I know you said you're finishing school. What happens next?
Well, I don't know what college this guy's moving on to, but I know we both are going to college. Do you want to talk about your really exciting career path?
Oh, I was, my career path was planning on going into pre-medicine, going into all that. In terms of making films, I have no idea.
Take 36 next year?
Yeah, take 36 next year, probably. Maybe edit something for, like, YouTube videos, something like that. I'm not sure. Yeah.
We're definitely both at the level of hobbyist filmmakers, you know. We would dedicate more time to it if we could get ourselves to dedicate time to any one subject as much as that. I'm going to college for a product design kind of track, but I wouldn't be mad if I shifted to film at some point, but we'll see. Oh, me right now? The Milwaukee Institute of Art and Design. Yeah.
Yeah, let them know. Let them know they got what they have coming.
Yeah, scholarship money maybe. I don't know.
So you two both mentioned YouTube. Do you find that people of a certain age kind of view the production aspect or filmmaking too artsy versus maybe what you would see on YouTube, where they may be more a little fast paced or B-roll and epic and everything like that? Do you find that there's a big difference in when you see older people, seasoned people talk about video production versus kind of the stuff you see on YouTube?
I think there's some difference, but as time goes on, that kind of fades more and more because my grandfather will be telling me about a YouTube channel that he loves to watch every day and things like that of just it's become so much more of a normalized thing because I don't think there's more than 10% of the planet at this point who hasn't heard of YouTube. It's just such a widespread thing, but I think there probably is people will think, oh well, this was released by a Hollywood studio, it definitely has to be better than something released by a YouTuber, which isn't always true. I think there's definitely a place for all ends of that spectrum, though, of big budget, high end things, and one person in their bedroom making something. And it's cool that there is a platform for everything like that to exist and be seen.
Yeah, I would actually agree with like everything you said there about there being there's a somewhat of a generational divide that's slowly fading away. Because if someone wants to make something, there's probably an audience for it. And I think places like YouTube allow for more open sharing of ideas and thoughts like that. So beginner filmmakers or someone along that line can actually just produce what they want and not have to go find different ways to distribute their films or make them. I think it actually helps smaller filmmakers like that.
So, and about when you have kids and then you want to show them 30 years of history of art, you're going to say, go to YouTube.
I don't think exclusively YouTube, but I could definitely, in a weird way, see, 20 years from now, there was this great video. You gotta see it. He did the funniest thing, you know. And it's weird to me to think about that of something like a YouTube video going back to it 20 years later, because it's only been around for nearly 20 years at this point. It's not even quite there, I don't think.
And it's going to happen.
Yeah.
You're going to go, come to TikTok. Let me show you a classic.
I think things like that are already happening with Vine at this point. Since it closed, there's people that, you know, they're nearly antiques to see these 10-year-old Vines.
Just to see that Vine down there feels like, what is this, old?
Yeah.
What's happening here? Well, I thank both of you, all three of you actually, for showing up to have this conversation. I just wanted to make sure that you got, you know, the film race happens. You guys, everybody puts so much effort into making these films, and then it happens and it kind of goes away. I just wanted an opportunity to sit with, you know, the filmmakers who do put this work in. And, you know, you guys became victorious multiple years on top of this year getting both the first place prize and the student prize. So is there a way people can watch Downtown Wolves? Is it on YouTube?
It isn't currently. I don't know what we can do for sharing it until the screening at this point. But if I should plug a YouTube channel that it's on, I believe it's under P Butter and J at this point. You could definitely watch our last 2 years of our films there, and at some point in the future, I believe we could watch Downtown Wolves there, which that should be exciting. Yeah.
One last question. So with it being such a rush in those 36 hours, when it's time for you to want to put it out and share it to friends, family, and whoever, do you go back and re-edit it, clean it up, or do you leave it as is?
From either exasperation over seeing something 30 times and being done with it, or wanting to kind of preserve this, we made it in 36 hours, this is exactly what we could make in 36 hours. We haven't touched any of our films previously.
Yeah, we've joked about making director's cuts, but I don't think we've ever really like got sold on that idea. Like, I think it's better just to keep them as is, like how they were shown.
There's definitely honor in all of the goofs and gaffes that you miss because you've been editing for 12 hours and it's now 4 a.m. and leaving it like that, I think, adds to making it's not this artificially produced thing. It is, we made this in 36 hours, warts and all.
Plus, Garrett needed the hard drive space to download Valorant, and so we had to get rid of all the raw footage anyway.
He got new games in the Steam summer sale, so he needed a lot new space. Yeah.
Well, did you guys have fun? And that's really the most important part.
I think so. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah.
I think if you asked me at 3 a.m. when we were turning it in, no. But I think if you asked me now, yeah, I had fun retroactively. Yeah.
I think I remember specifically Garrett ranting and raving at 3 a.m. about how this is dumb and we're never going to do it again. And why did Judah make me do this? I never wanted to. I just wanted to hang out. Why couldn't we just play video games? But I always have fun, even while it's happening. And I'm mad at Garrett. Or Judah has some dumb idea he wants us to add into the final edit. It's still fun.
It definitely is more of a hiking to the top of a mountain kind of satisfaction than a spending a lazy Sunday afternoon. And I think there's definitely value in pushing yourself to do those kind of things. And there's definitely a lot of the other teams this year. We're still surprised we did as well as we did compared to our competition, because it was definitely a good year from what we saw in the showcase.
Well, hopefully next year you guys skip video games for 2 days and compete one more time and keep the competitive spirit. So I thank all three of you guys for showing up and being a part of Tallgrass's Take 36 film race.
Yeah, thank you for having us. Yeah.